Hello, welcome to the Wargamer. Sometimes it cuts off the recording. I'll start again. Hello, welcome to the Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. Welcome to Stream Street Day 144. It's a far too hot day in sunny Nottingham, England, and I'm joined by the wonderful, my regular Saturday host now at this point, Mr. John Scrivens. Hello, sir. How are you?
Howdy, howdy. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm far too warm. I'm not designed for temperature above probably 10 degrees, and I like wearing jumpers. So this is challenging for me. I'm sweaty, palmed as if I'm talking awkwardly to someone I don't know, and that's not what it's like with you, Rob. I tend to overshare with you instead. So this is strange. I don't like it.
I've just realised, is the Honest Wargamer just really me oversharing? Is that all this is? That could be a thing. So hello to join us live. Tom, big love to you. DeBolt, what up? Tom Jens, Dreadwoods, Pragmatic, all of you guys, MG Pegasus, Diadrin, and Ziggy. I had a quick chat with Ziggy yesterday on the phone. Lovely fella. So hello and welcome to the show. If you listen to the podcast, please, obviously, especially in this weather, most important to stay hydrated right now. Stay hydrated. Get that water in you.
Always.
I had my very first, not my very first, but my first iced coffee of the year yesterday. I decided to splash out and have myself one fancy coffee, not my normal Kenko roast that's in the office. Decaf, obviously.
I was going to say, was it decaf?
Yeah, decaf Kenko. See, look at me make it out like it's decaf Kenko. It's not even. It's like it's Tesco's own brand decaf.
It's brown crystals that might have once seen caffeine, but
Yeah,
maybe not. And they might taste a little bit like coffee if you chew it enough.
Yeah, I don't know who I'm trying to impress with trying to bang on that it's Kenko. Like Kenko's even fancy. There's someone out there like, oh, Kenko, this is the podcast guy for me.
Oh.
Yeah, but everyone needs to hydrate up. So yeah, and Patreon guys, you guys are my heroes. Couldn't do it without you. Literally couldn't. You're also obviously you're the supporters of the T Sports Arena. So again, you guys are phenomenal. So I'm very, very excited to show you that when we finally put that in place. And that's it. So I think that's everyone. That's everyone. Oh, my YouTube crew. My YouTube crew are getting real serious at this stage, John. I love my little YouTube crew. So thanks for leaving my comments. Yeah, we're all getting chatty in the comments. It's quite fun, actually. It's really nice. Really, really nice. Because we've never really tried overly hard on YouTube. Like we don't really do clickbaity articles or the 5 best units in Warhammer. Number 1, tape measure. Number 2, dice. Number 3, these are units, right?
You've spent far too much time on a building site, Rob, that you now think like a chippy. I think that's what one of those carpenters are called, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's me.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're a chippy now.
Also, that my show hosts, like Tom, are the very best units. But obviously, number 1 is the Stomper, correct? Right, so, John, how have you been since we saw you last week? What's been going on in your life?
I've gone to the gym every other day, so everything still hurts, which is
nice
great.
To see you sticking with it.
It's nice to feel something.
What, emotionally?
Physically and emotionally, it's amazing.
All right, good.
It's great. I've had lots of energy, so I've actually played 3 games of 40k this week, which has been really nice. Only been doing incursion-sized games though. I've been trying out the Crusade system.
All right, well, there's loads to unpack there. Number 1, excellent work on going to the gym. Congratulations. It's always hard if you're one of the people out there who right now is like, "Fuck you, John," yeah, because you can't motivate yourself. Don't worry, it takes time.
Just do it.
Go at your own pace.
It took me weeks of going, should I at least try? And it's like, if you don't at least try, just get on with it.
Yeah, good. So congratulations there, John. But if you are someone out there who needs a bit of encouragement, don't forget you could do it. You can do it if ever you need to.
Exactly. Or if I can do it, anyone can do it.
And also, if you don't want to, don't worry about it.
Exactly.
So incursion. What's that? Talk to me about incursions, right?
So
oh my God! Is Clinto in the chat? Wait, hold on. Is Heralds of War Clinto in the chat? I fucking love that guy. Yeah, that's just I saw that in the chat. I wonder how. I wonder how Clinto's doing. Hope you're doing well, Clinto. Go on, John. Sorry. So, what's incursions?
1,000-point games on a 33 by 40 board, so it's a half-size board. Which, when you look at a lot of the maps, you think, oh, okay, that's a little bit smaller. But when you actually look at some of the missions, they all measure them from the center point, and it'll be sort of your deployment zone starts 10 inches from the center point, which often leaves you with only a 5-inch deployment zone. Which, when you look at some of the models that Games Workshop produce, such as, say, planes, their bases are bigger than that deployment zone.
So wait, so I'm playing Incursion, and there's a
Yeah.
minimum recommended board size.
Yeah. So the recommended board size, they say, ideally, if you're playing this size, 1,000-point game, you need to have 33 by 40 board. And that is 2 Kill Team boards, or this new cardboard board they've just produced, or that Frontline Gaming have just, funnily enough, started producing as well.
No way.
As
No
Matt's.
way.
Who knew? I'm shocked.
How did they predict that was going to be the size? Congratulations, Pablo. Really proud of you. Right. So then I measure from the center, and then I measure my deployment zone from the center, right?
From that. Yeah. So you don't always have a fixed deployment zone size, but if you're playing that required size, you get a 5-inch deployment zone. If you're playing long board edge to long board edge, so kind of traditionally Dawn of War is what I think we'd all refer it kind of as.
Yeah.
So on that one, you get 5 inches on a lot of the missions, which is not much.
5
And
inches.
Yeah, a 5-inch deployment zone. So you basically
would
can
my
go 3
stomper
deep
fit
on
in it?
infantry. Nope.
What?
And there is specifically one of the missions, mission 6 for the incursions of Crusade, that says you have to fully deploy wholly within your deployment zone, and you cannot deep strike or do your reserves into anywhere other than your deployment zone because of the mission, which means you physically can't actually get everything in potentially. So things like planes, stompers, you name it, they won't fit. Or if you decide to use fortifications. So if you had, say, a Fortress of Redemption, you might not in a 1,000-point game, but you could. That's the thing. Just because they're not predicting it doesn't mean you're not going to.
Yeah.
You can't. It won't fit.
Oh well, yeah. What if I wanted to take all my orc buggies?
Yeah. Or even just 90 orc boys might not fit physically in that space.
Wow. Okay. So that's interesting.
So I was just like, this is interesting. And it feels
But to be
like they've
fair,
not
if
considered the limitations of what people will do in the game system itself.
well, to be honest, I think if people are playing 1,000-point games, they're just having a laugh, right? They're just they're
But when
just
you then
there for the fun.
can't just put your stuff on the table without having to really think about it and go, well, actually, this doesn't seem right. It seems like it's more than just you're playing it for fun, but if you have to actually think about there's something wrong, it then kind of stops you from enjoying the game immediately. You're just like, well, what's going on with this? And it makes you take it less seriously, I think, as well. Because we were just questioning whether they actually thought through the missions, because it was like, this seems stupid.
Oh, okay. Apparently there are moves. There are rules that sort that out, John. That cover deploying large models that won't fit. You just reduce your movement. Yeah, if you can't fit into the deployment zone, don't you fit off the edge? They put a rule in. They put a rule in where you. I remember this now. So if you can't fit in the first turn, you're unable to do any actions. Like you can't move, you can't shoot,
So they
you
literally
can't do
just
psychic
get deployed.
powers.
Okay.
So they
makes sense.
literally just get deployed. I think is something they put in. So there you go. It's a nice bit of like rules bringing up. Thanks there, Pete. So that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So how did your games go? What sort of games were you playing?
So the first game I played was against Darren from Twisted Dice. He had a very hodgepodge orc list, and it felt like an execution. Because I had Space Marines, I was just shooting all my auto bolt rifles at his orc boys. It just felt like I had a scalpel. It was horrible, but it was fun. Don't get me wrong; it's nice killing orcs occasionally, but not like that.
Okay, so it seemed a little one-sided. Did you have a lot of terrain up?
We had lots of terrain, which was there to kind of help him. That it meant that I couldn't just shoot everything.
Right.
But it was things like I had the new Eradicators. He had a plane. I went first. The Eradicator shot the plane. Goodbye plane.
Oh, really? You killed it in one go?
Yes, I did 22 damage by double tapping with 3 Eradicators, which is pretty bonkers, but they can quite easily die themselves. So,
but it was only,
that was go first.
Oh, so they're more of a glass cannon, you thought?
I think. Well, they are, but yeah, it doesn't surprise me because I've used them quite a bit. So.
Okay, wow. You could take your big model but lose a phase of the action with it. Yes, the guys are just talking about that in the chat. That's amazing cool that they were able to just like punk a plane. But that's only 6 wounds on the 3-up save, right? Am I right in thinking that? Those Eradicators?
I think so.
They're 2 wounds each. No, maybe they're 3 because they're Gravis armor.
3 the Gravis, yeah. Toughness 5, so they've got some sustainability, but if you want to kill them, you will.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so a
I
lot of
guess so.
people like Amper Sandals just said you put them in reserve. So that's quite often what I've seen people do. So it's the whole thing of if you're not sure if you're going first or second, you may as well wait till turn two to guarantee they actually get to shoot.
Yeah, there's a bit of a conversation going on at the minute, what I've seen, about the board size. Specifically because you can put stuff in reserve, it feels like in 40k at the minute you're able to just like punk stuff whenever you want to. Just bring it
Yeah,
on, punk stuff, leave. Which is pretty strong, right?
it becomes a trade-off of how much do you value those CP in the game to actually having the units to just punch through stuff. And I think there's a good argument kind of having that unit probably outweighs having that CP to do something that you might do with it.
Yes. Yeah, I can see that. Hey,
Just
sorry
got more
again, by the
function.
way. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, there he is.
uh, hey Grinaldi, but you never know if you go first or second. No, you don't.
Yes.
But putting stuff in reserve is an even smarter play, right? Just
You
be
assume the
defensive.
worst. You've got to play assuming that you're going to go second, and it'll be the worst outcome. So at that point, you go right. I'll put the units I do not want to lose 100% in the first turn in deep strike. That's the best solution.
Okay, so that was your first game. A
Yeah,
bit unfortunate there. How did Darren take it? Take it fine?
I think he did. He seemed to get a bit confused by the board size stuff, but I think that was more because we were kind of looking at it going, this doesn't feel right, and it was just that it was a tight board edge to
Uh,
deploy on when you've got lots of stuff.
okay, and then what was and then what were the other games?
The second one was against my friend Tom with his Drakari. This was an interesting one because he had a mixture of Homunculus Coven and the Kabalite stuff, but it was things you don't often see, like the Forge World boat with the big kind of las cannon like gun.
The Tantalus or the
Not the Tantalus, the next one down. I can't remember what it's called. It's not it's the one that's the Raider but with a big gun built into it. The Reaper.
Destroyer
The Reaper. There we
Reaper?
go.
There we
So
go.
one of those and a lot of liquefier guns, where he could possibly put liquefier guns, which are kind of their version of plasma in
Hmm.
the risk of kind of mortal wound damage, but they can really delete things. So he had that whole kind of high risk, high reward coming at me, and it was good fun. And then he had some witches as well. So he had all three of the cults together, and it felt like the witches actually were quite terrifying now
Okay.
because
All
he
right.
kind of kept them back, and then they came forward whilst everything else had kind of dealt with each other, and they came to sort of mop up a little bit at the end, which was interesting.
Okay. And did you win that game?
That was a very close one. It came down to literally us going through turn five. We were looking. We each had one model left, and it came down to if I didn't die with my Talent Master, I would win. And it was that close, and it was great. As a result, I really enjoyed that one because it was just kind of like either of us could have won it right up until the end.
Mm. So as a like a fledgling competitive player, let's describe you as that. Last
Thanks, Rob.
edition. No, that's okay. That's
Got a
I'm
second.
trying.
I've got second place trophy up there.
Okay, yeah, of three
on.
still counts.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
No, what I'm
No,
saying is
I'm
how
mid-table most of the time. So.
how have you found playing the game for like in that kind of competitive setting, like not necessarily a tournament setting, but in that competitive setting, have you found picking your secondaries to be a bit challenging, or have you found that to be fine, or a lot of bookkeeping, or you again fine with it?
I think once you've played a handful of games and you know what your army can achieve, and then the counter option of also what your opponent's army can do, as long as you're picking smart, the secondaries you should be able to do, unless they go out of their way to deny stuff. Like good example, if they've got vehicles, you end up going for the secondary that if you're going to be killing vehicles anyway. So it makes sense to pick stuff smart. And I've not really the first few games I found I was getting denied on them, but generally I find you at least get some points each turn from your secondaries if you pick them relatively sensibly.
I wonder what that means. I wonder what that means. Just pick the good ones is what you really mean.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
there's some that just don't. It's like to me, I still, even as Marines, I look at it and go, the ones that require an action to be done, I don't find them particularly easy to achieve because it's at the sacrifice of a unit doing something else.
Well, with an
So I
elite
don't try.
army, yeah, with an
Yeah,
elite army, you're not going to do that, are you?
so
But you
even
can do that.
Space Marines, spelling like Custodians, I wouldn't even consider it either for the obvious reasons. But you'd go forward and you just stand on stuff, and I think mobility
What?
has
Because they're
been
terrible at doing a job. They've been
yeah.
custodians
They're good at
literally.
standing.
No, they're
They
not.
stand.
They've had one job in their entire career. One. Protect the Emperor.
Yes.
Failed.
Yeah.
He did Leroy Jenkins, but I'm just saying, narratively, Custodians are the biggest failures in all of history.
And that's why they are now the janitors.
Yeah, that's all they are. They're just sweeping up. They're just
Space
like,
janitors.
yeah, they're like, we're protecting this guy. They're like, he's dead. You're not
That's
protecting
not
shit.
that's not a guardian spear, that's a mop. Yeah.
um, so yeah, like, all right, good. Okay, so and you were playing with your Dark Angels. Did you have any
Yes.
MVPs, or was there anything in that
So
those armies that you really enjoyed?
The Talon Master, with the relic from Ritual of the Damned that gives him an increased range and +1 to hit. So you're hitting on twos with essentially a land speeder with twin assault cannons and twin heavy bolters. You can just kill stuff. It's great.
Okay, do you find it really hard to roll those 2+s? Do you feel like
It's really tough, Rob.
especially
So what I
especially when
quite
you're
often
playing
do is
against
make
it?
sure he's next to a captain,
Yeah,
and then he re-rolls the ones. Job
perfect.
done.
How do you use all those skills? Is my real question. Like,
So what I do is I get my finger and I point at that blob of orc boys and I go, delete.
Good.
It's
Hey,
really
Chris.
engaging, Rob. It's fine. It's great.
Well, I'm just like, it's fine. It's
It's a
fine.
power. It's a power move, mate. That's what I'm saying.
What?
It
Just
requires so much skill. I'm
ones
building
and
a
twos.
second one right now.
Oh, are you? Okay. All right.
No. I think I like some of the new stuff as well. Things like the bikes. They're okay as just a normal unit, just moving forward and shooting stuff. But if they get the charge, it's quite a mess, which is quite nice.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of attacks on those guys, right?
Yeah, they get an extra 2 attacks for charging, for being the bikers, on top of shock assault, plus the chainsword. So it's quite a lot of dice you get to roll, which is nice.
Is it 6 attacks per biker?
So it's 2, 3. Yes, if they're charged.
Wow. Wow. That's a lot of attacks. A lot of attacks. What kind of flavour is Space Marine is John playing again? Question.
Extremely loyal Dark Angels.
Do you ever feel really hemmed in when anyone ever asks?
People, I put up a post normally, and it's like, here you go, guys. I've painted this really nice figure, and they go, oh, nice Chaos Army, and I'm like, I asked about the paint scheme. I have nothing to say. It's just well done. It gets to me now. I'm just like, it's fine.
So I had an interesting conversation last night, actually, as something to bring up. I had an interesting conversation last night about 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 how we do talk to each other, and a bit of that kind of, you all know me, like I'm into a bit of like friendly, like back and forth. Make a joke, the other guy makes a joke back, we all rip on each other a bit, and it's fine. I think it's fine anyway, and I think that we've got a really good community of really friendly people on the Honest Wargamer, both in show hosts and people who listen. But I do know that sometimes people get a little bit upset when like their faction is like brought into disrepute, like when we like rag on Tau, let's say.
It's hard, isn't it?
Well, I guess the question is, it's like, for me, it doesn't really bother me. Like, if someone's like, oh, those orcs suck, Rob, I'm like, it's fine. I like orcs. Fuck you. Not bothered.
Yeah.
Like, that's who I am. But I know that some people aren't like that. I was wondering, does the Dark Angel kind of situation ever get to you? I mean, we literally have an emote in the chat called "Fuck You, Buddy," but it means it means love. It means love. I wonder though, and for anyone out there who's listening or in the comments, I wonder if that sort of attitude ever puts anyone off. And I would hate to think that our kind of like blasé attitude. I mean, like, if you didn't know me and Nathan, you'd think we really don't like each other, to be honest. If you ever saw us talking.
I don't think he really likes you.
Well, that's fair. Like, I hear that.
I don't think anyone likes you.
Yeah, that's also true. That's also true. So I guess the question is does it ever bother you actually? And I'm trying to be like,
to me, it's the lazy response sometimes. It's like when people post up about Ultramarines, they've got that similar sort of thing where people make jokes about them being the boring posted children, and it's just that it shows a lack of understanding often of the narrative for a faction. I find something like ragging on Tau because they're just boring to play against. I think there is some actual evidence to suggest this is fair. If someone's just sat in a corner and shot you to death for 6 turns in 8th edition, you've probably not had a fun game.
It's true.
But someone ragging on your faction because they've only read a couple of Lexicanum articles about them doesn't really give them much of a justification. If it's just about the memes, it's a bit one-dimensional. And when you're so invested in a faction because you've spent hundreds of hours building and painting them, and then someone just rags on it like that, it can be a little bit kind of deflating, I think is probably the good term for it.
Okay.
So I feel people's pain with that. Like Ultramarines, I do think are quite as a faction, but they've got some kind of interesting kind of stories behind them. They're not as clean cut as people think they are, but it doesn't mean I'll ever play them.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I always want to be aware of as a person, and especially as a content creator, right? You want to be conscious, like, that you're not, like, hurting people's feelings, but at the same time, you want to just be having a laugh, like, because I don't ever approach this to hurt anyone's feelings,
No.
nor would I ever want to. But you know, it's something to kind of be conscious of, and I know that sometimes it could be factions, but I do think probably learn to take a joke. That's probably a bad version of that. I mean, if you're an Eldar,
have a bad day as well, isn't it?
Yeah, if you're an Eldar
One
player,
person's having a bad day. It's not fun.
Yeah, like Nick is an Eldar player now, and obviously he's a terrible person for it. And you know,
He's unfriended on Facebook. That's what I've said.
So, like, you know, and I doubt that there's ever been an Eldar player listening to this podcast or show in the past 2 years, because all we've done is rag on Tom for playing Eldar, but Tom doesn't give a shit as well. Like, we're from a very specific group of people that, like, we know that there's no actual aggression; it's all love and kindness, unless you're a cheat, in which case we do mean it and we hate you. Those are different setups, I think. Oh, I just wanted to ask that question, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think it's because we all get emotionally invested in our team because you put so much time and effort potentially in an army. And I guess sometimes the people that give that shit are often the people that have just gone, right, I've built this army, painted them my own colour scheme quickly because I'm going to go to an event and just play the game. And there's almost the different camps of where people like to focus in the hobby tends to eschew how much it probably stings, I think, perhaps. If you're less emotionally invested in a faction because you're playing it as a competitive player, in solely just because you want to go to an event and win it, rather than the person that spent hundreds of hours painting it and
has
having that time where you
has the picture at home, like gets the
there's
mug.
that level to it.
Yeah, I guess.
Goes to the event wearing the T-shirt, even though they know they're probably going to only win one round, and that's because they're playing someone else that's at the same tier as them. They're different people, and I think people react as a different kind of as a result as well.
Yeah, I think it's just a general conversation about how we treat each other anyway, I guess, like, and understanding people's sensibilities. And unfortunately, sometimes people's sensibilities aren't going to, like, enjoy the jokes that I guess we make sometimes. But there is just, like, there's nothing but love in our hearts. So, you know,
Exactly.
I think, I don't know, it's an awkward one.
It's a hard one, especially at an event. I think if it's in person, it's a bit tone deaf. If you're speaking to someone you don't really know them as well.
Yeah, no, but that's my icebreaker. That's how I icebreaker. I'm like, oh, nice to meet you. You look like you got shit hair. And they're like, wow.
And everyone else says that to you as well.
Yeah.
And that's why you finally shaved it off.
Yeah, no, that's not why. That's not why. It doesn't bother me at all.
Is it because you ran out of shampoo, Rob? Is that what it was?
It's just so I go faster. That's it. I just want to be more
That's the reason I got this. I paint
Uh,
actually about 20% faster now that I don't have any hair.
Good. Well, that's positive. Star Learners, they hurt my feelings when they say inappropriate things about my witch elves. I dry brush those nighty bums and bikinis. Well done, Star. MJ Pegasus says, despite all the crap Sylvaneth get, I'm still into them because of the personal growth. Well done, you, growing personally.
Growth.
Yeah.
Well, he's set his roots into that faction, that's why.
Yeah, and as Nikos says, tremendous. Yes, Meatball says, I have 15,000 points of Craft Worlds and I play the 80% of them. I play them 8% of the time. Don't care about tagging because I've got big Wraith energy. Yes, big Wraith energy. Yeah, I'm into that. Yeah. We had a good chat about this yesterday on Scari's cast. Says, sorry again, it was following on from the chat about mental health inspired by 40k today, that at the end of the day, as much as we prat around, the community is usually kind and caring. If someone was in pain, you'd be there. That is true. That is true. That's true. Okay, this is getting a bit too touchy-feely now.
I don't like it.
Yeah,
This is killing my Wraith boner, Rob.
Wow, your Wraith Boner. That is definitely available in engagement range, but outside of deep strike range.
Yeah, only within an inch.
Right, Twitch chat. Have you got any questions for us today? Because John, did you listen to the show yesterday about the stats team? I told you about the stats
I
team
didn't.
off air.
Unfortunately, I was working.
Well,
I
so was
actually
I.
had a day where I actually had to do some work, so I didn't get to listen, unfortunately.
Well, so was I, and that has been the nightmare of my week. I'm a tradie now, by the way. I have a tape measure. I've got shorts with pockets in.
That just sounds like a wargamer.
Shit.
Are they camo? Are they like khaki, like cargo shorts type of things?
No, I don't. I don't wear those because I plan on
they
having
black,
sex.
Rob?
No, I plan on having sex in the future. I'm not. Like, as you all sit there painting in your cargo shorts, yeah, it's not that I think you're virgins. I know you've had sex. I just think the likelihood of you having sex in the future because you're wearing those cargo shorts is high. And if you're upset with that, fine, but you need to watch Crazy Stupid Love with Ryan Gosling, yeah, and you understand that, like, have you watched Crazy Stupid Love, John?
I haven't, but I've
need
worn
to-
cargo shorts in the last 5 years, and I think that might have been where my problem started to arise. That's what I'm going to say. I did bin my cargo shorts last week, though, so it's fine.
Good! That's the
Things
future.
are looking up.
Listen, you need to either do a Dayton from the All Points and just wear them booty shorts, yeah. Sorry,
I've got too much for booty. I'm sorry.
There we go. There's some of that friendly ribbon we all love a little bit of. Anyway, yeah. I've been labouring on the site all this week with Nathan for the T Sports Arena, which has been very, very exciting. And we've got the fake wall now. So Nath put up I'm the sweepy boy. That's my job. I basically reduced down to what's his face from Mary Poppins, the chimney sweep. I'm like, all right, governor. He's like, sweep this floor, and I'm like, all right, boss. And there I go, whistling and sweeping away the floor. That's where I'm at.
Dear.
Anyway. So we've got a fake stud wall now for where the commentary booth is going to be, because obviously the awkward part about doing the commentary is that you always need the commentators to be unheard by the players and teams. Normally we do this at events by having them quite far away, but at some events we've been probably too close, John.
Yeah, because you're basically ragging on them, and it's within earshot, so it might have a psychological impact on the game, perhaps, if you're not careful.
Normally, because of the shorts they're wearing. That's the normal situation.
Shouting, Team Alan! Alan at Bobo.
Yeah. Halifax asks if working on site is like working with your dad, just to hold the tools and try not to get yelled at. Yes, I also keep asking questions because I'm a generally inquisitive person. Like, there was a hole in the wall. I was like, is that where the chimney goes, or was? And Nathan laughed for, honestly, about 10 to 15 minutes. And I didn't actually ever get an answer. I'm assuming the answer is no, that isn't where the chimney was, but I still don't know an answer to this day, truth be told. Also, very critical of the job you're doing. Like, for a man that can't use a headset or a computer machine or a microphone, very critical. Like, he told me to get all the nails out of a thing, and I got most of the nails out of the thing. What more do you need? Like, some most.
That's like saying, are you going to get all the stats from that event, or are you going to just miss a couple of them and then it's not the full results? You just wouldn't do it, Rob. It's attention to detail, and if it's like a building, if you don't do it quite right, someone might get hurt. Whilst a headset is just a mild inconvenience comparatively.
Yeah, old half jobs, Rob. That's me.
Yeah. Did you get bored? Did you see something shiny on the wall? Like, oh look!
I tell you what, painting walls is harder than I thought as well. Anyway, let's get back to some
How many
content.
coats did you do?
I honestly did get bored halfway through. I was just painting white on white. I was like, who gives a shit? I was like, me. Nathan was like, well, do you want people to like view the like studio and think it looks crap? I was like, I guess not. As I begrudgingly continued to paint.
That's a big question. Is there a hole in the ceiling?
There was. When we got there was a leaky roof. True story. But unlike this leaky roof, we fixed it.
You fixed it.
We fixed it. So, yeah. Anyway. So, I haven't really done much other warhammering this week, unfortunately. Building a venue counts, but doesn't count for like I'd like to hear about what's a good insert army unit here thing, or what's a cool list. But one of the really fun things this week that as I've been painting and doing some manual jobs, your brain wanders a bit like when you're in a shower and you have ideas, right? Um,
Yeah.
and ideas like, does this fit up there? And then the other idea that I had was the other idea I had was we were talking about stats. So the stats team has kind of assembled a little bit. We've got a Discord now. Big shout out. There's a bunch of the stats guys in the chat at the minute, and we're formulating. And I just need to shout those guys out because in 2 days we've gone from like good to great. And I'm very excited about applying some of these concepts to 40k next year as well, when we do the 40k Super Series. So there's been some genuine hot information coming out of it at the minute, and what I've really enjoyed it is what I'm trying to say, John. But I guess the question for you is like, is there any stats that you'd like to see come out of 40k in the future? Like, having looked at your games, is there things you'd like to know?
So to me, one that'd be really cool to look at would be how many CP people are using in a turn, and work out kind of the turn one average and see if it goes down because people are running out or whether people are sustaining them. The other cool one, when we were chatting briefly before the show, that I thought was quite nice, is if people do re-roll their charge, what is the success rate on that re-roll? Because then it's kind of like, does it justify? And then obviously the distances of those charges and the success chance, and then the re-roll combined with that type of thing. That whole piece is such a crucial part of the game for me. Like, whenever I fail a charge, it's usually game over for that unit, unless I'm really lucky.
Yes.
Because they're normally right balls deep, kind of standing there going, right, I'm in the open, I'm coming for you. And then they just fail. And then re-roll, oh, look, a double one. Cool. But it'd be cool to have those sorts of stats of kind of like, if they fail the charge and it was an 8-inch charge, what was the chance of success on average people were getting if they did the re-roll? And it's like having the numbers to see statistically whether it's likely and whether people are kind of having more luck than not as well. To me, that's the kind of interesting bit, right? Because it's when people go against what the statistic average is as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's going to be some fascinating stuff eventually to come out for the 40k side of this as well when we go through that process. I'm very excited about that. I know I already talked about it on the show yesterday, but I just thought I'd touch base with it again because the team are doing excellent work, and I've enjoyed getting to know quite a few of them a little bit more detail. But as a group project, I feel like none of them are the guy that isn't like contributing. We're all contributing in this thing because again, like we all talked about. It's kind of like brand new. It's going to be quite complicated on the day, John. And obviously, but yeah, you've been part of that. You've been part of the live stream.
But
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, you've been part of the live streaming process for years now with me. And I know that getting data from tables is something we've slowly improved upon, right, over the years. It's taken a long time to understand exactly what we've needed, I think.
Yes, and that is something that adds depth to the game, and I think it improves us all as players. So being able to look at something and eyeball it and go, that's not likely it's going to succeed. So what's my backup plan if that goes wrong? Is something you should be planning for. So being able to look at that as a player as well as someone watching it, being able to learn that is quite interesting, I think, and important to improve everyone's skill set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and as a commentator, you've been able to look at that and make a judgment straight off the bat and go, right, my gut feeling is that's not going to work, but then they're going to do this, and this is all founded through that knowledge, right?
Yeah, it almost oftentimes is from like commentary. Like also when the venue gets set up, I'm just gonna play a shit ton of games and have a whole bunch of people play games at the studio while I watch. Like there's gonna be so like
watching, don't you?
Yeah, just love it. But like the skill set increase once we have like a venue to do that is going to be phenomenal. Normally, like we go to events and we do these things, so I'm very very excited about that bit. Right. So Nick's asked. So I just wanted to shout out the stats guys really and just touch on it because I think it's an exciting future as that project continues. I want to shout out Nick for a great question in the chat. What is the top five Warhammer lists? Top five Warhammer lists. Question to the Twitch chat and John. I'm going to start with, I think the number one top five is either one of two. Top five most competitive units. Always, people always, well, that's clickbait. Or top five lists. But the one that I think gets people the most is top five Primarchs.
Yes, I was going to say for Primarchs that are due to come back. because it often changes with anomalies of people that physically can't because they're dead, supposedly.
Yes, yeah, top five, I just think top five Primarchs. Do you never think
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, because it's always everyone wants to go, my dad's bigger than your dad.
Well, maybe we could do the top fives, and we could just do it now. So then we've just done all Warhammer content. So I guess the first question is, what are the top five Primarchs? That's the first top five. Top five Primarchs. I'm going with Vulcan, Mortarion. He's way cool. Angron,
Mm.
Alfarius, Lorgar. Those are my top five. What are your top five?
That's interesting. For me, I would probably go with the Lion because I think, despite him being a complicated and flawed person, it's interesting. Sanguinius because he is the kind of the optimistic and hopeful one, and of course he's going to get smashed down. Um, then Fulgrim because I like that there's that kind of side to him.
What side? The sexy side.
The kind of
Do you know who doesn't wear
aspiration to be the best. It becomes kind of to be the best beautifully and all that sort of thing. So an aspiration that is a flaw is still an interesting thing, right? And then I think as much as I'm not big on Thousand Suns, Magnus, but not as a whole, the good side to him that got smashed right down, that part of him makes him quite an interesting character to me, that he's not just I'm a villain. So it'd be, is that four? And then the fifth one I think would be Alfarius because I love that kind of. Was it him? Was it his brother? Who knows?
Okay, I'm not feeling that. I also
Yeah,
would
I
like
have
to
a
point
different
out.
list. I
I
think
would
it's a
also,
very personal thing.
yeah, but that's why it's a top five because
Exactly.
it's wrong. That's the other point about top fives; they're always wrong. The issue with Fulgrim is that he definitely never wore cargo shorts. That's a fact.
That's why I like him so much. He's something to aspire towards, and he likes purple, which is something I seem to like a lot of.
So then in the chat, Daiji's not sure about my choice of Lorgar. Lorgar's my choice because he kicks off the Horus Heresy. Without Lorgar, you don't have the Horus Heresy, yeah? And therefore, you don't have a great story. Change
And
my
I
mind.
love that he's very much told, no, your kind of idea is wrong. And even though the good guys win, that still happens. The whole worshipping the Emperor thing still happens. It's brilliant.
There you go. So, yeah.
I love the irony to it.
He was just proved right. Yeah, Lorgar's the one. I think it's great. Pete Pratt is loving Kurz. Kurz just reminds me too much of like you know the original Batman TV series.
Yeah.
I just picture the Joker as Kurz.
It feels like the arsehole in a Papa Roach mosh pit. That's who he is to me.
Also, the arsehole in the Papa Roach mosh pit. Also, wore cargo shorts. I once stole Papa
Yes.
Roach's scooter. Anyway,
Yeah.
I really want to
Do you
get
know
Scooter. I really want to get
do you know
Scooter John because they're in at the minute and they look
Yeah.
awesome.
An electric one or one of the normal push ones?
I can't even afford a scooter, let alone an electric scooter. So I'm going for just scooter at the moment. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll have to do a GoFundMe for you, Rob, so you can get to the studio a little bit quicker.
One scoot, please. I'd like to scoot a little bit faster.
Scoot. Get a little bell. Do you know what my favourite top five for Warhammer is? Is sub factions. So like Age of Sigmar sub factions, because it'll all be the boring ones that everyone expects.
Or what, the top five sub-factions?
Yeah.
What, if that's one of your top fives, the top five sub-factions? Yeah. Okay, let's do top five sub-factions for Age of Sigmar. Well, Haggnar, because you have to hear about it all the time. Petrifex Elite, because you have to hear about it all the time. Yeah. All of the Gits sub-factions, that one's just for Pete.
Don't make me sad.
Because there are none. I would say... top five sub-factions. Do you know what? I'm putting in the Ogre Moor Tribe sub-factions because the names and the lore are actually really awesome.
X-Tab, please don't do this.
Yeah, I'm into that X-Tab. Top five Warhammer TV hosts. Go! Twitch chat only are allowed in that. No, we'll do that in a moment. First, we'll finish this. Top five sub-factions.
What's the Fire Slayers one that everyone tends to use? Is the
Heimdall.
They're all boring. Yeah,
They
it
are
is
boring.
Heimdall. I was like, that's a Thor character.
No,
Can't be
it's
that, but it
Forstag.
is.
I'm sure it's Forstag. Yeah.
That's also one.
So, Honest Wargamer, we've had a rash of rental scooter deaths here in New York City with the rental company Revel, so don't get a scooter. I don't think Nottingham City Centre, by the way, which is pedestrianised,
Yeah.
like, has maybe got the traffic of New York City, but thank you for
There's
being...
also a legality of electric scooters as well. They're
Any
not road legal, and you shouldn't ride anything on pavement anyway.
What for electric? I haven't got
Yeah.
one. I'm not. Why is everyone holding me up to a test for the
God,
scooter?
Rob, you and
The
your
scooter
scooter.
play.
Such,
Also, for
such a
everyone
road
else,
terrorist.
yeah, for everyone else listening all around the world, like Korkamoku's in New York, and there's like fucking taxi cabs flying around and bicyclists and all that other shit. Yeah, like England problem sounds pretty like weak source, but it's just like, yeah, the plague of scooters is unreal. How do we live? How do we live?
And opening the door and saying, "No, you first. No, you first." It's a real problem in England.
Okay, top 5 subfactions. So we've done Petrifex Elite, we've done the Ogre Tribes ones because they're all cool. I'll tell you one that was the most nothing burger ever. The subfaction for Bone Splitters that was able to take away your save, so you weren't able to get a save, like your ethereal save, and it didn't ever affect anyone. Because no one ever took it. But for like 5 minutes, it was like the rage. It was the rage. So then the question is, there's 2 questions now. Another top 5. Another top 5. Love these. Top 5 Warhammer TV hosts. Twitch chat
Oof.
only. For me, it's Eddie Eccles, John Bracken, top 2. They've always been my favourites. Who's my other favourite?
I liked Duncan.
Oh yeah, I mean obviously Duncan. I mean obviously, he's just a really funny guy, and he's super nice
And my,
dude.
my fifth one would be that Rob guy because he was
No,
just
you're not
funny.
allowed
Cause
to. Not allowed to include me, obviously.
why not?
Huh?
That's why I don't watch it anymore.
Because I
You were
wasn't the
gone.
presenter. I was the fucking founder, mate. Yeah, I was the fucking.
Right.
I was I'm like an astronaut with a flag, banging it on the moon. That's what I am. If they ever actually landed on the moon, obviously deep state conspiracy by the lizards people. Also, don't have 5G.
Oh, jeez. I'm trying not to sigh, Rob, but you're making it very easy.
Right, so then, let's actually go to some proper ones. Rob's cancelled for his electric scooter. I know, I've been cancelled. Damn it, everyone. The top
This
5.
cancel culture is great.
I know. Top 5 armies that need a full model update. Ooh. Okay. Top 5 armies that need a full model update.
Tyranids. To me, Tyranids is a big one because they
Really?
all look too similar and they haven't had any love for quite some time, that they don't have quite the breadth of options. I think
What?
Eldar's a trick one though, because the models still do the job.
So the top. What you don't? I think
I
Eldar don't. Do they do the job, Eldar?
I think so. Really, realistically, do
Also,
people
John,
still
you are
use
being
warp spiders?
you are being a bit racist, John, about the old Tyranids all look the same. Come on, John,
Well,
you're better than that.
well, you look at. Can you tell the difference between the big gribbly guys, like what's it called, the Morlock, and then the other thing that the kit makes?
No,
How
I don't
often have
even.
you
I
played
don't
someone
even
they
know.
go, "This is a Morlock," and you go, "Is it okay?"
I don't even
You
know
do
what
you, buddy.
Horspecs really is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
I also don't know the difference. A pyrocist is a thing. Pyroclast, not sure.
what's the,
Yeah.
what's the one that makes Termagants come out of his big womb thing? Because that's a cool model, but I'd like more like that.
The Brood
Gross.
Mother? No.
I don't know.
The. Oh God. They're honestly a really difficult army to even understand.
But some of
Yeah.
the 1992 Eldar stuff still holds up, in my opinion. It's not perfect. It'd be nice to replace it, but I think I would also prefer a new faction entirely before they
Oh.
do them.
Really?
Yeah, because what sells better, rehashing something that people might just use the old models for, or an entirely new exciting thing?
Entirely new, exciting thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I would prefer to see new ranges than I would prefer to see. Like, I'd like to see the Inquisition force like really expanded out, and it'd be like there'd be a huge Inquisition army of all sorts of different units.
So in the way that they did Grey Knights and Deathwatch as their own factions, flesh out the Inquisition so that they're actually a playable force would make some sense if you're going to do it for everyone, right?
Yeah, I'm changing this to top 5 armies I want to see. 1, Inquisition. 2, Squats. 3, Space
Hell yeah.
Rats. 4, Space Lizards. 5,
Tau auxiliary forces.
Space Hippos.
Fuck's sake, I knew you were going to go hippos. You've got a real problem.
I don't have a problem. They're
Have you been to a zoo
terrifyingly
recently?
dangerous.
You're like, I
No,
went
they're
to the zoo and
terrifyingly
went, that's a
dangerous.
new army.
If you guys
That's a
don't
new
know,
army.
if you don't know, I am obviously obsessed with how incredibly scary hippos are. They kill more people than sharks. Sharks have just got like what? Sharks have just had a bad rep. Hippos, terrifying. They kill loads of people. They're really scared. Like really
I
scary.
want space fire slayers. I want
No.
dwarves in space
What,
that
that
all
all
look
look the
the
same?
same and are naked but have invuln saves. Basically like space dwarf custodies.
I like how
That'd be the
everyone's just like space things. Top
Yeah.
5 not Space Marines armies to get primarized versions of their units. Yeah, Chaos.
No, Chaos is going to be
Orcs.
last. Always last.
So John just made the case against more Space Marines. We never want Space Marines. Space Goats, definitely. I want that Draconda. Vampire Pirates, I want that for Age of Sigmar. Loads. I want pirates, like, because if we've got we've got
We've got space
Age of Sigmar
pirates.
merchants. No, we've got merchants though in the KO, Carriage and Overlords. So now I want pirates. Also, I'd like it to probably be like the Eshin clan. Like
I'd like them to
space
flesh out the
rats.
Skaven a bit more.
Yeah, that would be good because they actually. I mean, have they even ever brought any new models out? No, they brought out one new bombardier. The Vermin Lords were from 8th edition. So like, yeah, like
Yeah,
I would
they were
love-
end times, weren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love them to flesh out the rats. Actually,
I'd like
That'd be-
Scryer Acolytes to have models that aren't from when I first got into the hobby in 1994. The £8.20 a model.
Yeah, but there's way better like third-party ones. I sent
Oh,
you
yeah,
a link to one the other day.
Rob, you're a horrible person. I'm now questioning whether I should just buy an entire Scryer Acolytes army.
Definitely, and also Tom Jones has made possibly the best suggestion ever: an Age of Sigmar halfling army. I didn't know I wanted something until I knew I wanted that.
It needs the cooks with the pot like they had in Warhammer Fantasy. That was some of the coolest stuff.
Yeah, I want them to replicate Ogre Moor tribes, but I want them to just all be littler. So I want them to be like a Stonehorn, but it's not a Stonehorn. It's just a fellow with like a cooking pot on his hat and a pig, and he's riding that instead.
With cream cakes, because they like cream cakes.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. 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 Halfling army allies with Sylvaneth, ogre and a halfling cook-off. Oh my God. Yeah, you could do a cookout where they're just
The
like
Great
hanging out.
Mortal Realms cook-off.
Yeah, the cookout. Oh my God. AOS halfling gargants. So they're just little gargants. Oh my God. Them riding
It's
pigs.
just a load of halflings riding, like sitting on the top of each other wearing a trench coat, and that's the equivalent.
I also want their rules to be terrible. Like, I want them to intentionally be terrible, and I want
So
them
what
like...
you're telling me, Rob, is you can basically just do a Gloomspite Gits grot heavy army, but use the Blood Bowl halflings.
You could do that, but
That's terrible.
but I want them to intentionally like almost do irreverent shit. I want you to be like moving on to objectives and casting spells. I'm like, okay, this guy's gonna cook something. You're like, okay, he's cooked it. What happens then? It's like, end. That's all he does. He cooks something. Like, does he give him +1 to hit? No, just cooks a pot. It's like, okay.
You have to cook, otherwise they go hungry and they won't do
Yeah.
anything.
Yes, you just have to cook. Yeah. Not a fan of those halfling armies. They all look like Gordon Ramsay. Gordon Ramsay does look like a grown-up halfling. He does.
The nose. It's the nose.
He does. Oh my God! I've just realised he looks like a troll doll that's aged.
Oh God.
He does.
Does he fart glitter too?
Wait, do troll dolls fart glitter?
Yeah.
Do halflings fart glitter?
No, just trolls.
Wow, you know a lot about what.
I work in a
what-
toy shop, Rob.
Like what
Why,
else?
why is
what
this
else,
a surprise?
What else farts interesting things? I did not know any of this.
Trolls sing like Justin Timberlake too. If Trolls World Tour is anything to go by.
Wait, they sing like. Wait, there's a Justin Timberlake too.
Well, no, because in Trolls World Tour, one of them's Justin Timberlake, so they sing like him.
Is he Justin Timberlake or Justin Timberlake 2?
Justin Timberlake.
I'm getting confused now.
You're easily confused, Rob. I said too many words quickly, I think.
What
I'll
about
get these jabs in when I can quickly.
what about second breakfast? Halfling armies don't get to fight in turn 3. Perfect balance. Just turn 2, they just stop. They're like, time for second breakfast.
Oh no, it's worse. If you don't feed them, they get hangry, and they go absolutely mad.
They get super strong, and they get like an extra attack. I'm really into the idea of a halfling army now, and I like your idea of playing a Gitz army, but with halflings, is hilarious. I don't know what you replace the squigs as, etc. But yeah.
Goats.
Yeah.
And sheep and pigs.
Yeah, really into this. Okay, so that was our top 5 sub-factions, was it? Is that what it was?
We got sidetracked, yeah.
It was top 5 armies we want to see. That's what it was.
On Space Marines.
And now I also want space halflings.
They're called ratlings, aren't they?
Yes, ratlings, but I want a whole army of ratlings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me you don't want that.
I would prefer an army of ogrins.
Oh, space ogres.
Because we've got them starting to appear.
Well, we've got 2, right? Wait, we've got
Ogrins and ogrins, and then the main character.
Mad Ned Doc, and then have you got? Wait, and then didn't one come in the Blackstone Fortress? Another Ogrin. That was Chaos Ogrin.
That's the Chaos one. You got the 2 ratlings in that instead.
Okay. All right. So next one, top 5 characters we want a model for. Top 5.
The
characters.
Orc war boss that keeps being resurrected each day by Khorne because he's good at chopping up Khorne demons in a demon world. What's his name? Something Demon Killer. What's his name? It's a cool lore where he loops around every day because Khorne just likes watching him.
Okay. Well, we're getting vexed in the chat.
Yeah.
Tuska.
Tuska Demon Killer or whatever he's called. Yeah, it's great.
What? So he's an orc who... Tell me the story.
So he's an orc war boss. Him and his warband go into, I think it was the Eye of Terror. Go absolutely bonkers, killing loads of Khorne demons, dies. Khorne's so impressed of him and what he does, because I think he chops up a bloodthirster, that he gets brought back the next day and then lives the cycle again and just keeps doing it. And they're having so much fun. Just sounds like the happy-go-lucky orcs that you expect.
Right. Okay. I didn't know any of this. This is
it's just one little paragraph in one of the old codexes.
Okay. Well, other. He sounds great. I would like all the Prime Orcs, but they don't have models for that. Also, big shout out to Math Mallow in the chat, part of the stats team.
Nice.
If I stay on the stats team and Super Series, can we have a house rule that Alariel is 0 points? It seems fine with me. I think the Honest Wargamer gaming pack for Age of Sigmar coming out soon will put Alariel at 0 points. And to quote Games Workshop, TOs can either agree with your opponent or you can not agree with your opponent.
I would like for my second option for a Primaris Azrael and not just Lazarus, who obviously was originally going to be Azrael Primaris, but then they changed their mind at the last minute because they're very similar.
Okay,
that's a personal one.
That's very specific.
Yeah,
I'm not into that at all. I now just want the Space Halfling King model, which doesn't have any narrative, but he's now in my headcanon exists on a halfling world where they cook loads of chickens. I also picture the Space Halfling world to be like, the Ratlings to be like a super nice place.
Then they leave because they think they're doing something good for the entirety of the Imperium. Then they go out and it's like, oh god, what is this hell?
Yeah, like it's the only nice place in 40k. Like it's idyllic, like everyone's just like building stuff and painting stuff, like all of that. No, John, you aren't allowed more Primaris. This is getting silly now. Yeah, John, no more Space Marines. We're embargoing a one on Space Marines for 2 years.
Good luck. I can't imagine Games Workshop could exist without 6 months going by without at least there being some sort of Space Marine release.
Oh my God! Someone called Mr. Watley, yeah, Mr. Watley. It's a link that
Yeah.
Xtab's just put in the chat. Has done
Oh no,
has done a Blight King, but it's
Nurgle
got
Ramsey.
Gordon Ramsay's head, and then he's got in his hand a baguette. That's phenomenal. Where did
Oh
anyone?
man,
I can't believe we've. I thought we thought that up on the show, and
no,
someone's already done this 60
that's
weeks ago.
madness.
He's got a
Oh,
baguette in his hand that's rotten and turned into a rot fly. Oh my God. Oh, I'm going to include that in the show notes for everyone to check that out. That is amazing. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's it. That's the end of the show. We've nailed it. Top 5 everythings is how we're concluding that with the Gordon Ramsay picture, because that's all I've got in my head today. John, you got any shout outs before we head out? And are there any questions in the chat before we leave?
shout out to Gozzy
Oh God.
every time.
Yeah.
60% of the time, every time.
Yeah. Just that's it. You got no other shout outs? What about Darren from Twisted
Shout
Dice?
out to the Twisted Dice guys, because they're doing some cool stuff at the moment. They're trying to do something a bit different, but we'll see how it goes out, because they did get me on to record something, so it might be an absolute mess of someone just shouting, "Give me more Primaris Space Marines."
Oh my God. Okay.
I've become unsatiable for my lust for new models.
As much as I like you, I can't think of anything I'm never gonna watch as much as you talking about wanting more Space Marines. I need you to know
Exactly.
that. Like, I couldn't give a shit. I think they're really tapping out Space Marine sales. This release alone is more kits than Harleys and almost as many G-Telecoats than Dark Angels, says Colonel Cabbage. I agree. They need to stop. Like, because it's just boring at this stage. Like,
Oh, totally.
like that third tank. But I hate ending on a negative. So let's end on a high. Yeah.
Let's focus on the positive. That's actually what their sales work through. I think it was on average a 10-to-1 ratio, Space Marines to other 40k kits.
Because
there
they
you go.
make 10 times as much. It's a
But
self-fulfilling prophecy.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But in the top 100 kits that they have stockist stock, there is, I think, over 10 kits that are Space Marines. So funnily enough, they're going to stay in the top 10. Even a tactical squad's in that top 10, in that top 100, Rob.
Wow. Okay. Well,
And they're
interesting.
old.
Well, my positive is halflings. I'm now going to look at halfling kits, third-party halfling kits, halfling armies.
Do Punga Miniatures do some? Because they do some nice sculpts.
Well, yeah, they do some really nice sculpts.
But
Shout
do
out
they
to
do
those
halflings?
guys. Yeah,
That's a positive.
but you could just proxy him. Halflings is guardsmen. Changed my mind.
Oh, yeah, because you can just say the planet's got really... Would it be low gravity or high gravity? To make them
What,
short.
that makes
It'd be
people
high
short?
gravity, make them shorter, yeah.
I don't want to touch that with a. John, you've already been racist this show. Now you're being heightist.
Racist, I just think Fire Slayers and Tyranids all look the same.
You'd never hear
They
me
all die the same, though.
You never hear me say something like that, you monster. If we could all cancel John, please, that would be great.
Don't worry, life has already cancelled me, Rob. That's why I run a toy shop.
Everyone, it's been lovely talking to you all. Please join me again tomorrow. Please join me all again tomorrow for the stream street. It's been amazing being able to do this for 144 days with you guys. Couldn't do it without you at all. Couldn't do it without you at all. You guys are great.
I feel like J.K. Rowling now. This is horrible.
She is a dickhead. So, that's really easy. It's a really easy one to sort out. She's a dickhead. But you guys who listen aren't. Well, thanks for listening. Stay positive. Stay happy. Stay hydrated is the most important bit. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.